Welcome to the Power of Partnership podcast. I'm Riane Eisler, President of the Center for Partnership Systems. This podcast brings you voices from the partnership movement, people using partnership practices to build a world that values caring, nature, and shared prosperity. The Power of Partnership podcast is hosted by Cherry Jacobs-Pruitt, a health policy and partnership scholar. Today, Cherry is joined by Lauren Hatvani, director of Yagena, a nonprofit based in Mali, for an interview with Mwalimu Musheshe, founder of the Ugandan Rural Development Training Program. And now on to the POP podcast, showing how we can use partnership-based practices to support sustainable rural development that meets the real needs of people and the planet.
Welcome to today's episode of the Power of Partnership podcast. My name is Cherry Jacobs-Pruitt, and I am joined today by Lauren Hatvani, who will be co-hosting today's episode. And I'd like to give you the honor of introducing today's guest and your friend, Mwalimu Musheshe.
Thank you, Cherry. It's my great pleasure to introduce to you Mwalimu Musheshe, a founder of Ugandan Rural Development and Training Program, founded in 1987. URDT has a radio station and 6 educational institutions, 2 primary schools, 2 secondary schools, 1 vocational training institute, and an all-women university called African Rural University, or ARU, of which Musheshe is currently Vice Chancellor. I met Musheshe in 2002 on a visit to URDT campus as the director of a foundation, and we've been friends and collaborators ever since. Welcome, Musheshe.
Thank you very much, Lauren, and thank you, Shed, for giving me the opportunity.
Yes, it's so wonderful to meet you, Musheshe, and we are so honored to be able to interview you for the Power of Partnership podcast. I'd love to start by asking you to share more about your journey in creating the Ugandan Rural Training and Development Program and the African Rural University.
I always tell people that I went to the village, 83, and I will never come back. So my journey was creating Uganda Rural Development and Training Program started with being a student volunteer with an organization called Uganda Food and Peace Project. And at that point, I had an interview to work with the government, but I felt, no, let me go and work with the people in the communities. So this organization had a very nice methodology that was really rhyming with my interest, my aspirations. And I worked with them. I led a group of 11 students from other universities where we worked with the communities for 6 months. And it was a long distance from Kampala, about 300 so kilometers of bad roads. And when you went there, you were in a different kind of civilization. So after 6 months, the other students moved back. But because I was the finalist, the organization asked me to stay on and work for them. And that's how I worked as an agricultural personnel, combining the engineering, combining the crop, combining animal husbandry. And that's how my journey actually began. So I became part and parcel of the community engagement. And we worked on the health, child nutrition, environmental issues. And unfortunately, 2 years later, I started to sense that the organization that I was serving was veering from the original principles of serving with commitment. And I think there was mismanagement of resources. And I raised the flag. And because of that, people correcting the wrongs that was going on in the organization. Actually, they tried to kill me, and that forced the government to close the organization. Because every time we have incidences of this nature, the first thing the elites want to run away from the country. So actually, who will stay and build the country? So I chose to stay. And I think it was on that strength that our colleagues of the African Food and Peace Foundation say, okay, so if you stay, what do you want to do? And I told him that I have also my friends here, we want to continue with the methodology, which uses the vision that approach to rural and human development. And they gave me that benefit. And so where do you want to operate from? The place had become dangerous. Okay, why don't we find a neutral place and we can commute at some point and work with these communities? So that's how we moved from Kaonge and we went to Kagadi, which was even harder and more complicated than the place where we worked before. We are using a methodology of asking the people what their aspirations are, what the vision they hold for themselves, for their families, for the future, which again was a departure from the problem solving approach. And they chose what they wanted to start with. The biggest challenge then was the clean, safe water and the issues of nutrition. And we worked on those. We brought in new things, we brought in inputs, and we organized some support from UNICEF. And that is my journey. And then in 1991, we did a review. I said, we have been in this community for this long. What else do you think we are doing well? What do you think we can do better? And that's when they said, oh, why don't you start vocational training for young people who are dropping out of school? And we designed with the community URDT Institute. In this area where we are now at that time, the dropout rate of young people from school was very high. The education was not a priority, and especially for the government. And then we picked the momentum, and here we are.
I'm wondering how Riane's domination partnership framework resonated with you personally and with the work that URDT's been doing, and how her framework in particular has informed your work.
But our project, by very design, is a partnership approach, because we have conversations, we don't instruct, we don't impose. So I must say that from the beginning, the philosophy and the ideology of how we want to work with the community was respectful. Because if you look at our working premises, you have 5 working premises. One of them say the people of Uganda, like people world over, are key to their own development. So you have to respect that.
Right.
And our design and the execution has to respect that the people can do development by themselves for themselves. Then the other working premise is that the people have innate power and wisdom which they can tap on to create the kind of life they want. So once you already respect that and know that they are not stupid, you are not starting from a clean state, then you have respect for the people. Then I think the most important, although they are all related, is the premise where we say the people with a common vision can transcend the traditional prejudices caused by political, religious, age, and gender, and work together for that which is most important for them. And this is a working premise we designed in the 1987, believing that the people, once they identify what is very important for them, they can work and collaborate. And then we say, all those things are nice, but there must be information, there must be knowledge, there must be skills, which then they can bring into their thought processes and their vision in order to actualize what they care about. So therefore, I would say our mindset right from the beginning has those elements of partnership and collaboration, and then we actualize it through the design and execution by working with people together. Even with that, we don't have that kind of we are brought in new ideas. No, we learn together, and we allow that kind of what we call cross-pollination of ideas between the academics, between the professionals, and the people in the community. So to me, that's how it's designed. So getting to know Riane's work was, wow, this is great. How can we make our work better? And what are the issues they are dealing with? And how can we move from micro approach to now start looking at macro? Well, that's where it means that the economics issues, where we're talking about the people creating their own prosperity in the communities. Now we are looking at how can we create prosperity in the economic structure that is economy. And I think that's where we find the work for Riane giving value to the work we are doing.
You are listening to the Power of Partnership podcast. If you would like us to share your partnership story, or if you would like to become a proud sponsor of the POP podcast, please contact us at center@partnershipway.org. And now back to today's episode.
So the international interventions, international NGO interventions have been accused over the years of being very top-down, very dominating. And what's been your experience working with NGOs who come in with that approach, and how do you work with them? How do you explain to them what you're doing and how it's a more effective approach?
Okay, yeah. As I said, our inter and interconnectedness between different development disciplines. We don't just work in water, we don't work in trade, we don't work on gender, we don't work on isolated silos. No, we say, what is the interconnectedness? We are working on agriculture. How does it relate to environment? How does it relate to water? How does it relate to climate change? And so that was what brought us together with Robert Fish to realize that, we have also a different way of looking at things rather than in singularity. Now, the methodology is important in the we don't prescribe, because the experts prescribe. They come and say, yeah, we have done a survey, and from the survey results, we know what your problem is. And therefore, these are the solutions, and this is how we can work on them. We come from, hey guys, here we are. Yes. What do you see happening to you 5, 10 years? What do you see happening to your community 5, 10 years? We come from the aspiration point of view. What are your aspirations? Because we know that people have dreams. People have aspirations. They don't only have problems. And because of that, then you invite them to articulate what they see the future for them is. And then you start saying, okay, this is what you want. So what is your current situation? How can you compare the desired future and your current reality? And they start saying, their desired future is different and their current reality is different. And there is a big discrepancy between what we have and what we want. So that engagement helps them say, so what do you think you can do to address in order to achieve what you want? What will be the actions you have to take? Oh, we have no money, we have no resources. Okay, let us take a walk around the village and identify what could be the possible resources that could be used to actually answer these questions of saying we have no resources. So it is then after you have exhausted, you get to discover that, okay, these are the community resources including themselves, but there are those which they couldn't have. We are not the only leaders, because what makes change in their life is what we call awakening the sleeping genius. That is our motto, awakening the sleeping genius. At times they are oblivious of the power they have. At times they are oblivious of the knowledge they have.
Musheshe, what do you envision for URDT?
I see URDT as an epicenter where the digital approach has been practiced, has created change in the community and being adopted by other communities in Uganda and Africa to change the rural community and develop a new human resource for transformation. So we are creating change makers and change agents.
That's beautiful.
And are there resources that people who want to replicate your model can access?
Yes. Resource number one is they want to adapt to the methodology. Once there is a willingness, every the other thing follows. So once we talk to people and they say, oh yeah, I think we'd like to do this, then the next thing is, how do we partner to share the information we have? Like we have also colleagues who have developed this methodology. We also have added value and we have also material we have for the rural areas. As we are talking now, we have influence in some places in East Africa, Kenya and Tanzania. And in Uganda, we are part of the vision, Vision Uganda 2020. Yeah, the materials are real. But the most important one is the mindset gets started.
Mm-hmm. And so that in the podcast notes and on the webpage related to this episode, we will have links to those resources, including some of links to Riane's works that can help with that first step of creating the mindset. Any additional words of wisdom that you would like to share with our listeners about how to live in partnership to be true change agents in their lives?
Yeah, we have what we call Ubuntu. And I think if we can move into that space of Ubuntu, I don't know whether you have heard about it. You are, because I am, since I am, you are. Partnership becomes easy. And then we draw on the 5 also resources. Resource number 1, trust. Resource number 2, honesty. Resource number 3, dignity. The resource number 4, publicity. Resource number 5, and was those resources which unfortunately they are put them in the realm of moral and ethical, and yet they are in the space of human spirit and human development. Once those are in place, partnership becomes very
beautiful. Well, we thank you again, Musheshe for joining us for this episode of the Power of Partnership podcast.
It is my pleasure, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I hope we can have more and more opportunities to share and interact.
Thank you for listening to the Power of Partnership podcast. We're grateful to Rising Appalachia for the use of resilience as our Power of Partnership theme music. If you would like us to feature your partnership story, or if you would like to be a proud sponsor of the Power of Partnership podcast, please contact us at center@partnershipway.org. We hope you enjoyed this episode and will leave us a review on your favorite podcast channel. And don't forget to subscribe to be notified when new episodes are released. I'm Cherry Jacobs Pruitt. See you next time on the Power of Partnership podcast.
I am resilient. I trust the movement. I negate the chaos. Uplift the negative. I'll show up at the table again and again and again. I'll close my mouth and learn to live.